You know, throughout the many years I've been watching anime, I'd only really watch anime that were viral at the time. People would always say things like, "Give Attack on Titan a try, it's a good anime." And I would in fact give Attack on Titan a try, and it was a good anime. So back then, I would only watch anime that most people were watching, and never really gave a damn about unpopular anime. And after years and years of doing that, I've came to a conclusion that that's stupid, and I don't want to be caught doing anything stupid. So I decided to start digging and digging and digging and digging, and I eventually found the diamond among the rough, at least to me. Utawarerumono. That is hard to say. Now, the story of Utawarerumono takes place in a fantasy world called Utawarerumono. Pretty insane, right? The world is populated by various races, and when I say various races, I'm including things like humanoids. Yep, humanoids. People who are part animal. Yep, those anime characters that popularized that weird phrasing of whoa, bro, where's all the French floating? The story revolves around a man named Hakuoro, but at the time he isn't actually named Hakuoro, and that's because he awakened in the middle of the forest with no memory of his past. That is actually terrifying. I would never allow something like that to happen to me. Hakuoro, who is basically ground beef at the moment, gets rescued by some of the group villagers who take him in and nurse him back to health. And a lot of things happen after that, like this little girl who's the sister of the girl who found him, treating him like he's an actual disease. I mean, I can't really blame her. Bro came out of nowhere with a mask on, and that's kind of sus, not gonna lie. But it's not actually his fault. The mask is attached to his face somehow. And as he tries to adjust to his new life, he discovers that he has a talent for strategy and tactics. And that's what I love about this guy. He is the ultimate general. He literally came out of nowhere, doesn't have any memories, but is the best thing that ever happened to this village. He begins to use his talents to help the villagers defend themselves against various threats. This anime takes place in a time where people were still worshipping things like tigers. Let me say that again. The people of this village were worshipping a tiger, a white tiger to be more specific. And yeah, the tiger was going around killing everyone, eating the crap out of them and stuff, and no one was safe. Kids, women, men, the tiger ate them all. And the people of the village were under the impression that the tiger was punishing them for some reason. And yeah, let me explain the reason to you. The tiger was hungry. That's the reason. I thought this was general knowledge, but nah, no one in this village actually thought of that, except for the genius MC Hakuoro, who on the spot came up with the plan to actually stop the tiger. And yeah, bro, I thought the plan would work when I saw him grabbing his spear and stuff, but this tiger's actually on droids. But because he was fighting the tiger in the rain, he figured out what its weakness was, and can you believe it? It's actually water. And that's where he came up with the plan to put the tiger down. And after a bit of trouble, just a tiny bit of trouble, they finally freed themselves from the tyranny of the man-eating tiger. Keep in mind, this man has zero memories of his past, what he was doing before he was found in the village, or even what his name was. His name, Hakuoro, was given to him by the grandma of the girl who found him. Bro's basically a few days old by now, but his IQ is so high that he solved the problem that the villagers were facing for decades in a matter of days. This is an anime you need to watch. The story of this anime is complex, weaving together elements of fantasy, action, and political intrigue. One of the key themes of the story is the idea of identity and the search for one's true self, which is something we don't really see in anime nowadays. Hakuoro is the man who awakens with no memories of his past and spends much of the story trying to uncover his true identity. And along the way, he meets a number of other characters who are also struggling with identity issues. For example, someone like Oburo, who is torn between his loyalty for his nation and his love for his people. The world of Utawarerumono is richly detailed, with a number of different nations, cultures, and languages. each nation has its own unique customs and beliefs, and the story explores the tensions and conflicts that arise when these different groups come into contact. And one of the things I totally love about this anime is that there are so many OP races. Like seriously. For example, there are powerful beings in this world called Mikos, who are able to control elements and perform powerful magic. I know, boo-hoo, nothing new, but when you actually watch the anime, it's so cool. In the story, the relationship between the Mikus and their other characters is often fraught in tension and mistrust, because the Mikus are seen as both powerful allies and potential enemies. And another key theme of the story is the idea of war and its consequences, cause we all remember World War II and what happened after. Yeah, war is not nice. The story explores the many different aspects of war, from the political maneuvering that leads up to conflict, to the actual battles themselves, to the aftermath and the difficult process of rebuilding. Do you know how hard it is to rebuild a civilization after war, bro? Do you? Well, I wouldn't know because I've never experienced war. But I know it's hard! You also explore the personal toll that war takes on the characters, both physically and emotionally, and the way in which it shapes their relationships and their understanding of the world. About the characters. The character development is significantly part of what makes the anime so engaging. While the characters navigate the complex world and political landscape, they are forced to confront their own beliefs and values, and to make difficult choices that can have far-reaching consequences. So they basically have no choice but to develop, and Hakuoro is a particularly compelling example of this. At the beginning of the story, he is a man with no memories of his past, and he struggles to find his place in the world. But as he learns more about the world around him and becomes more involved in the political conflicts of the various nations, he begins to develop a greater sense of purpose and direction. He also learns more about his past and the choices he made that led him to his current situation. Other characters such as Obaru and Toka also undergo significant development over the course of the story. Obaru starts out as a loyal soldier of his nation, but as he becomes more involved in the conflicts between the different nations, he begins to question his loyalties and to confront the difficult choices that he must make. Toka, meanwhile, starts out as a strong and independent warrior, but as she falls in love with Hakuoro, yep, Hakuoro even has that amnesia raise, bro, and becomes more involved in his quest for identity, she learns to be more valuable and to trust others more. I have to say, one of the strengths of the character development in the story is that it's often subtle and gradual. Characters do not simply undergo sudden and dramatic changes, but rather they are shown to be influenced by their experiences and to grow and develop over time. This makes the characters feel more realistic and relatable, at least to me, and helps to make their struggles and conflicts feel more emotionally resonant. Overall, the character development in Utawarerumono, this is such a tongue twister, Utawarerumono is significantly part of what makes the story so engaging. Honestly, compared to recent anime, Utawarerumono feels somewhat different in terms of storytelling and animation style, but the story has a really engaging plot. The characters in the story are all pretty memorable, and their battles are epic, and it also has a distinct art style and soundtrack that helps create a unique atmosphere. So if you've been wandering around looking for an anime that explores themes such as identity, power, and the consequences of war, give this anime a go. It also has a unique setting, drawing inspiration from Japanese mythology and featuring a world filled with various races and cultures. And another unique aspect is the art style. I mean bro, this anime was made in like 2006, and the characters are more beautifully designed than most anime nowadays. Like seriously, I don't get how this anime is so underrated. The anime also incorporates elements of traditional Japanese culture, and I know a lot of anime watchers love Japanese culture. Who knows, maybe you might visit Japan someday, and watching this anime may give you some pointers of what to expect. And unless you're a weirdo, I'd expect you to not expect some humanoids in Japan. And yeah, this is one of the most exciting anime I've ever watched. I literally binged the whole season in one day, and I just can't get enough of it. So yeah, please just go give this anime a try, bro. It's totally worth it. And yeah, that's all I had to say. If you enjoyed watching the video, I'd appreciate it if you leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, peace!